The sunlight fell across the cracked pavement like shattered gold the morning everything changed. Strangers were racing past the small bus stop as if life owed them no pauses, but in the middle of all that hurried noise sat a fragile girl in a wheelchair, Alina Merrick, her thin hands gripping the metal rims as though holding herself together. Her mother, Mira, stood behind her, eyes tired yet soft, shielding her daughter from the world that had always been too heavy. That was the exact moment when a convoy of black cars stopped beside them, and out stepped a billionaire whose heart had long forgotten how to feel. His name was Adrian Faulkner, and he had no idea that within minutes, a little girl would beg him not to adopt her, but to adopt her mother instead. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of compassion, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Echoes of Kindness. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need healing. The day had started like any other hardship for Alina and Mira. Mira worked double shifts at a small garment factory, patching together clothes for people who would never know her name. Her back hurt, her hands were calloused, and every evening she would lift her daughter into her arms and whisper apologies for not being able to give her the life she deserved. Alina had been in a wheelchair since the age of 6, after a tragic road accident that took away her ability to walk and drained every last coin her mother had saved. Their lives were a constant cycle of bills, medical visits, and silent prayers whispered into the night. Yet Alina was sunlight bright, gentle, resilient. She smiled even when it hurt, telling her mother they would be okay someday, that miracles still existed even if they didn't know the way home. Adrian Faulkner, on the other hand, lived in a world made of glass towers and empty halls. A billionaire known for his iron heart and silent grief, he had lost his wife years ago and had closed every window of warmth in his soul since then. He came to the city that day for a charity event, signing papers and handing out donations that meant very little to him. He had money, but no life. Power, but no purpose. However, fate has a strange way of weaving broken souls together. When Adrian's car stopped at the bus stop, it was because his driver noticed the wheelchair was stuck on a broken patch of pavement. Mira struggled to pull it free, her hands trembling from exhaustion. Before she could fall, Adrian instinctively reached out, steadying the chair and lifting the wheel with surprising gentleness. That brief moment shifted everything. Adrian's eyes met Alina's, and something inside him stirred. There was no fear in the girl's eyes, only wonder. She thanked him in a soft voice, and he felt the unfamiliar tug of emotion. He insisted on driving them home, despite Myra's hesitations. Inside his luxurious car, Alina stared out the window like a child seeing the world for the first time, pointing at the sunlight, the clouds, a passing kite, things Adrian had forgotten how to notice. When they reached the small, crumbling apartment, he felt a sting in his chest. The place was barely standing. Mira apologized for the mess, though the only mess was poverty itself, clinging to their lives no matter how hard they tried to sweep it away. Over the next week, Adrian found excuses to visit them. He brought groceries, then books for Alina, then a doctor's appointment he insisted on paying for. He sat beside Alina while she drew pictures for him, drawings full of bright colors and tall buildings that strangely resembled hope. Mira tried to refuse every offer, but Adrian wouldn't listen. Something about them made him want to be a better man, perhaps for the first time. Soon, rumors spread that the billionaire was planning to adopt a child. When he visited Alina and Mira one warm afternoon, he kneeled beside Alina and told her he wanted to make sure she never struggled again. He wanted to adopt her, to give her a life full of care, therapy, comfort, and love. But instead of smiling, Alina burst into tears. Her voice shook as she held his hand and whispered, "Please, please don't adopt me. Adopt my mom instead." Adrian froze. Alina cried harder as she explained that her mother had sacrificed everything for her, her dreams, her health, her future. Mira was the one who needed saving, the one who deserved a home without worry, a life without pain. "She's my hero," Alina said, "and heroes shouldn't suffer. If you adopt me, she will stay alone. But if you adopt her, she will finally be safe." Mira fell to her knees, sobbing, telling her daughter she would never leave her. She would rather starve than live in luxury without her little girl. Adrian felt the weight of two broken hearts pressing against his own, and for the first time in years, tears burned at the back of his eyes. He stood up and made a decision that surprised even him. He would not adopt one of them. He would adopt both. Not legally, not formally. but with something deeper, with commitment, protection, and new beginnings. He moved them into his mansion, not as charity cases, but as the family he never knew he needed. He built Alina a special therapy room and hired the best doctors. He offered Mira a position managing his charity foundation, recognizing the strength she had built from years of surviving storms. Day by day, the mansion filled with warmth. Alina's laughter echoed through halls that had been silent for too long. Mira slowly allowed herself to breathe, to rest, to smile without guilt. And Adrian, the billionaire who once believed his heart had died, found himself healing through the very love he had offered them. Months later, on a bright morning, Alina stood with trembling legs, supported by her therapists, taking her first steps in years while her mother and Adrian cried and held on to each other. It wasn't just a miracle. It was the result of love, real, selfless love, something Adrian had finally learned to give and receive.